So, this is the day 2 of my drawing. Just waking up and greeting the day. Not easy in the current circumstances with the grim news that comes daily flooding through the radio. And yet, I suppose we can all sort of audit things to be grateful for, certainly, even as we are horrified by the events in places like the Ukraine and Afghanistan and all over the world. I've been thinking about what must be happening in all those parts of the world where attention has been focused and now is less focused upon as events in Ukraine dominate the airwaves. Places like Burma, for instance, and Ethiopia and other trouble spots around the world. And then, of course, there's and I'm going to stop being doomy, but there's the whole situation in the Antarctic and the Arctic, which are experiencing heat waves. If you can imagine such a thing, I find it hard, but again, just another example, I suppose, of issues that can't be brushed under the carpet anymore, that are relevant. And I suppose our children and their children are going to look back at this time and think, what on earth were we all doing? But less of that. I feel a comical bird coming on. I was just wondering about doing a little series of imaginary comical birds. Might be fun. Starting, I suppose, with our old favourite, the Jubjub bird. But there'll be lots of other interesting ones. I wonder if there's a sort of lesser spotted phoenix, a sort of not quite as impressive phoenix. One that, like, I don't know, those disappointing firelighters, sort of is a bit sooty and doesn't quite sort of burst into flame the way that one would want a phoenix to rise from a fiery nest. Owls of all persuasions, wonderful birds. I shall give it some thought, because at the moment I'm in the midst of working on my, I suppose, next major project, I suppose I would call it, which is a new edition of The Little Prince. Very immersive. I've been drawing baobab trees for the last couple of days, and The Little Prince's planet. It's an asteroid, actually. It has a number. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's asteroid number 3 something something. but it's where the Little Prince lives. And I think today I'm going to be drawing the Little Prince enjoying 23 sunsets, one after the other, because his planet is so small. But before I do that, I'll just continue this drawing, which I think is going to take on a sort of different personality each day. It started out as a drawing of a tree, now it has a unlikely bird in its branches. I'm not quite sure what will happen tomorrow when I find my way to the roots of the tree and what might be going on down there. But I think this sort of thing illustrates one of the pleasures I find in drawing, which is, making the marks on the paper, of course, but also as I go, just having random thoughts. Not about what I'm drawing, but about things in general. Obviously I'm talking at the moment, but usually all this is going on inside my head, and it has a sort of quality of I suppose, a slightly directed meditation. And since a lot of what I think about is about things I'd like to draw and books I'd like to make, drawing in this free way allows me to ruminate and think about possible projects, including one I'll share with you now, which I'm not quite sure when I'm going to do it and what form it'll take, but I would love to illustrate the complete poems of Emily Dickinson. I don't know whether anyone would want such a thing, but I do. I want to see. She produced these extraordinary poems that she wrote on small scraps of paper, the backs of envelopes famously, tiny little missives that are very beautiful, and I've got a book that collected all these scraps of paper with her poems on them, and they are really magical. I think because they're written on random pieces of paper, and I would like to handwrite the complete poems, which I think maybe Emily Dickinson would appreciate, that approach, artisanal approach. I'd like to handwrite them all and then illustrate them almost at the same time. Now whether that would result in some sort of illegible confusion, I don't know, but it could be a nice thing to do. Anyway, thoughts. The Consolation of Foliage. It's probably my next novel. So I think this is this corner of the picture for today, and we will explore more foliage and what's going on in the next half of the picture tomorrow. But a nice start for the day, and do let me know, dear patrons, whether an illustrated collected Emily Dickinson would be something you might like to see one day.